9 days after the funeral of Nathan Brooks, Evelyn Carter sat alone inside the quiet dining room of her Seattle home with nothing except a legal notebook, a calculator, and several unopened financial files spread across the polished wooden table. The comforting memories that once filled the house had been replaced by an unbearable silence, and instead of mourning the man she had loved for more than 2 decades, she found herself calculating debts, contracts, and unexplained transactions that refused to make sense. For 26 years, Evelyn had built Ironstone Freight Group into one of the most respected transportation companies on the West Coast, while Nathan proudly managed Harbor Ridge Supply Network, insisting that their businesses should always remain independent for the sake of financial stability and professional integrity. She had admired his confidence and respected every boundary he established, never imagining that those carefully maintained walls had hidden secrets far greater than simple business decisions. As she examined months of accounting reports, small irregularities slowly formed a disturbing pattern that could no longer be dismissed as routine corporate complications or temporary cash shortages. Vendor invoices had been delayed without explanation, confidential transfers appeared in unfamiliar accounts, and several properties connected to Nathan had never once been mentioned during their marriage despite requiring millions of dollars to maintain. Looking back with painful clarity, Evelyn realized how naturally trust had blinded her judgment through the years, because every questionable explanation had sounded perfectly logical when spoken by someone she believed loved her completely. She had spent her career identifying weaknesses inside complicated business systems, yet she had never inspected the foundation of the relationship that mattered most, because she never imagined it required an investigation. Her grief slowly transformed into calm determination instead of emotional collapse, because every document she uncovered replaced heartbreak with unanswered questions demanding factual answers. Nathan had always admired her ability to solve impossible business problems, and without realizing it, he had left behind the most complicated mystery she had ever faced. On a quiet Tuesday morning, an unfamiliar dark blue vehicle stopped outside her home just as the rain began falling across the neighborhood, interrupting the silence that had surrounded the property since the funeral. A well-dressed woman stepped out holding the hand of a young boy whose striking green eyes instantly reminded Evelyn of photographs Nathan had taken when he was a child. Before the visitor reached the front door, Evelyn opened it herself with calm confidence and silently invited the strangers inside without revealing the storm of thoughts racing through her mind. The woman introduced herself as Lauren Hayes, while the little boy politely smiled and introduced himself as Ethan, completely unaware that his simple greeting had already changed the direction of several lives forever. Lauren carefully placed a leather document case on the coffee table and began removing photographs, school records, utility bills, vacation pictures, handwritten birthday cards, and framed family portraits that stretched back more than a decade. Every page suggested that Nathan had lived another carefully organized life hundreds of miles away in Denver while continuing his marriage with Evelyn, as though nothing unusual had ever existed. Instead of becoming emotional, Evelyn quietly studied every date, signature, address, and financial record, because experience had taught her that facts often revealed far more than emotional accusations ever could. Lauren seemed disappointed that tears never appeared, because she had expected to confront a broken widow instead of a business leader patiently collecting information. Lauren confidently explained that Nathan had always described Evelyn as a woman who cared more about board meetings than family dinners, and claimed he had remained married only because divorce would have damaged both companies financially. She insisted that Nathan had considered her the true partner of his heart and believed Ethan deserved everything his father had built, regardless of whatever legal obstacles remained. Evelyn allowed every sentence to continue without interruption, because the confidence in Lauren's voice suggested she sincerely believed every story Nathan had told during the past decade. The more Lauren spoke, the more Evelyn recognized that both of them had been manipulated by the same man for entirely different reasons, although neither woman had understood the complete truth until after his death. After several minutes, Evelyn politely excused herself, walked into her private office, closed the door, and immediately called her longtime attorney Daniel Foster. With calm precision instead of panic, she instructed him to begin a complete forensic investigation covering every property, company, investment account, and business transaction connected to Nathan during the previous 15 years, because she intended to discover the entire truth regardless of where it led. The following morning, Daniel arrived carrying several thick folders filled with preliminary findings that immediately confirmed Evelyn's deepest suspicions about hidden finances and concealed business activities extending across multiple states. As the first rays of sunlight entered the conference room, Evelyn realized that Nathan's greatest deception was only beginning to reveal itself, and she silently promised herself that this investigation would end only when every hidden secret finally stood exposed. Daniel continued digging through thousands of financial records until a hidden network of shell companies and silent investment accounts finally emerged. From years of carefully disguised transactions, every discovery proved that Nathan had spent more than a decade moving money between businesses while presenting completely different versions of his life to the people who trusted him the most. The investigation uncovered a confidential storage unit outside Portland that had been rented under a company name no one had ever questioned because it appeared to be connected to ordinary shipping operations. Inside were dozens of locked file boxes containing contracts, handwritten journals, bank statements, and digital backup drives that documented nearly every secret financial decision Nathan had made during the final years of his life. Among the files, Daniel discovered medical reports showing that Nathan had quietly learned about a serious heart condition months before his unexpected passing. Instead of telling either family the truth, he had desperately tried to rearrange his finances in hopes of preserving the image of a successful businessman while hiding the collapse that was already beginning behind the scenes. The largest surprise appeared inside a sealed envelope marked with instructions to be opened only if Nathan died unexpectedly before resolving his affairs. Rather than containing an apology or final confession, the envelope revealed detailed instructions directing millions of dollars into a protected trust that listed Evelyn as the legal trustee because Nathan believed she was the only person capable of managing the remaining assets responsibly. Lauren and her attorney soon filed a petition asking the court to transfer control of Harbor Ridge Supply Network to Ethan as Nathan's biological son and legal heir. Local television stations quickly turned the dispute into headline news, portraying Evelyn as a wealthy executive attempting to deny a little boy his father's legacy, without knowing the facts hidden beneath the surface. While reporters gathered outside Ironstone Freight Group every morning hoping to capture an emotional reaction, Evelyn refused every interview and continued focusing only on verified evidence instead of public opinion. She understood that temporary headlines disappeared quickly, but legally documented facts remained. Long after the cameras stopped recording, Daniel completed a full forensic audit that exposed Harbor Ridge Supply Network as a corporation drowning beneath years of unpaid taxes, defaulted commercial loans, breached supplier agreements, environmental penalties, and millions of dollars in overdue obligations. The impressive reputation Nathan had carefully protected for years turned out to be nothing more than a polished exterior covering a business already collapsing from within. The courtroom remained silent on the morning of the probate hearing as attorneys presented documents before the judge while reporters waited outside, expecting a dramatic legal battle. Lauren appeared confident that victory was only moments away because she believed ownership of the company represented wealth, security, and the future Nathan had promised throughout their relationship. When the judge asked whether Evelyn objected to the transfer request, she calmly stood and surprised everyone by approving the transfer without negotiation or delay. Her signature immediately placed ownership of Harbor Ridge Supply Network into the estate established for Ethan, exactly as Lauren's legal team had demanded from the beginning. Only after the documents became legally binding did Lauren's attorney notice the complete financial statements attached to the transfer agreement describing every outstanding debt and contractual obligation attached to the corporation. His confident expression disappeared within seconds as he realized they had accepted responsibility for a business whose liabilities exceeded its remaining value by several $1 million. Lauren sat speechless as the reality finally replaced every promise Nathan had ever made during the years they shared together because the fortune she expected simply did not exist. Evelyn felt no satisfaction from watching another person's dreams collapse because she understood that Lauren had also been deceived by the same man who had destroyed the trust of everyone closest to him. Although Evelyn refused to rescue Harbor Ridge Supply Network from financial disaster, she refused to allow an innocent child to suffer for mistakes he never created. She quietly instructed Daniel to establish a protected education trust for Ethan that would pay for his schooling, university expenses, and future professional development while preventing anyone else from accessing those funds. Several months later, Ironstone Freight Group had fully recovered from the unwanted publicity while Harbor Ridge Supply Network officially entered liquidation under court supervision after creditors claimed the remaining assets. Evelyn stood beside the large windows overlooking the Seattle skyline and realized that real strength was never measured by revenge because genuine freedom arrived the moment she stopped allowing another person's deception to define her future. Nathan left behind a family's countless lies, and a legacy built upon appearances, instead of honesty. Yet the people he tried to manipulate ultimately found their own paths toward healing through truth rather than resentment. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.